Hello everyone, my name is Rorz, and today I'm going to be breaking down the 10 differences in treatment that I experienced before and after Looksmaxxing. So as you can see in the image below, I've had a pretty drastic Looksmaxxing transformation. It almost feels like I've experienced what it's like to be on every single looks level. I've been in the depths of it, but I've also experienced what it's like to be proud of the way I look. So if you're someone in the middle of your Looksmaxxing transformation, this is definitely a good way to motivate yourself moving forward. Okay, so starting off with number one, people will naturally just make excuses to talk to you, and they'll just take more interest in you within conversations. So essentially what I'm saying here is that it's going to be a lot easier to just make friends in general and build a social circle. For example, one time in the gym, I had a brief conversation with someone who was there, and then I think a week later, this guy was shouting at me in the gym saying that he knew me and all of these things about me. And the guy that I talked to initially, I only had a brief conversation with him that lasted about probably 4 minutes. Also, naturally, you're just going to experience a lot more compliments, and sometimes people will subtly try to brag about themselves. This is usually only if they feel threatened. They'll try to bring themselves up to what they perceive your level, but most of the time people are really nice to you. Okay, and this one is just a classic. So essentially, after Looksmaxxing, your entire life will be benefited from it. You'll get treated like a celebrity, have better assumptions on your friendliness, likability, and trustworthiness. Typically though, this is usually reserved for the people of the light triad look, guys like Lucky Blue Smith or Leonardo DiCaprio, for example. But if you're a guy that looks a little bit more dark triad, which is a bit of a cringy term, but I'm still gonna roll with it, guys like Sean O'Pry, Cameron Albarosian, and Richard Ramirez, for example. Another brutal one, but you also experience advantages in job interviews. Usually the reason for this is because there's more perceived competence, and you'll acquire faceanality and confidence. Also, another thing, if you're on the shorter end, you can actually acquire height fitness, but more or less for your frame. So if you become a gym cell, spam lateral raises, you can also get a little bit of height fitness as well, if you get what I'm trying to say. By broadening your frame, you'll naturally just look more confident, and it just better treatment by default. Also, a more surprising one is that people will start to research you. And what I mean by this is that, say for example, you have like a brief conversation with someone, you exchange names with them, and then say a few hours later, they follow you on Instagram. To put it simply, you've left a good impression on them, and they've gone home, thought about you, and then followed you on Instagram, which is actually quite funny because I did this to my girlfriend before I approached her in the gym. Well, I like to say I did some studying, and to be fair, it was a bit of an awkward interaction because I didn't even ask for her name because I already knew what it was, which is really weird. Now that I think about it, it really sounds like something from You or some shit. You'll also receive an easier time building a YouTube channel or an Instagram profile. Simply, people just want to follow people that are easy to look at, so this kind of ties into the job opportunities segment. And also, depending on the way you look, you actually might have the potential to earn a full-time income from social media alone. And a big one is more respect. So this is usually going to be mainly for guys who are in the masthetic category. Guys like Jeff Side, David Lade, the Fagan twins are a good example as well, and yours truly. This usually means guys with a good amount of robust features, mixed in with a good physique and height as well. Obviously, there are exceptions for height. Jeff Side, for example, he's about 5'10", but generally with this, people are just much easier to impress. Simply what will happen is that you'll walk into a room and you'll simply just command presence. Life will be easier and commanding respect will be effortless. Okay, now this one's a little bit of a funny one, but people will stare and they'll definitely make it obvious. Usually this is hard to notice if you're by yourself. For example, when I'm walking, I'm just in my own zone. If I'm in a shopping center, I'm there to get that one thing and then get the fuck out of there. But if you're curious about this, bring a friend along with you and see if they pick up on anyone giving you a few looks. This effect is obviously heightened if you're someone with faceanality and confidence. A taller height is definitely going to stand out in the crowd more, but it's not going to be the main factor. Remember guys, face is king, but height is just going to simply make people more aware of your presence. So a great example of someone who's going to really stand out in public is me. A good example of someone who's going to stand out in public is someone like Alessandro Della Sola. In my opinion, a clear PSL god, and I'm pretty sure he's around 6'1.5". So that's going to give you that element of rarity that you're looking for. Okay, and this one's massive. So if this happens to you, there's just no way you're not a good looking person, let's be real. Unless you have this specific alien-like look to you, that's ideal for modeling, then sure. Now this video really sounds like I'm just bragging, but just bear with me. So back in 2023, for example, I was asked to attend a photo shoot with a previous model that just saw potential in me and wanted to help me get into the industry. Back then, in my opinion, I had not ascended as much as I have now. And just over a month ago, I was scouted by a modeling agency with my girlfriend, and we actually both got signed a week later. And if someone told me that that was gonna happen to me a year before or even a year later, I'd tell them you're fucking dreaming. But seriously guys, take it from me, be persistent with your Looksmaxxing because some seriously great things can happen if you stay with it. There are so many opportunities that can present themselves when people see that you have potential for modeling. Now this is definitely the first and only negative that you'll come by, and this is definitely something that I struggled with before I found my lovely girlfriend Kayla. Typically this is a blessing or a curse depending on what type of person you are. So if you're interested in sexy time and the bedroom and all you want to attract is short-term partners, this can be good. But if you actually want something meaningful and long term, you might have to work a little bit harder for it. Might meaning you will. So generally, it's just harder for girls to trust you. Just think of it simply in this way. If you're a guy and you're trying to keep a girlfriend that's, in your opinion, extremely good looking, you're automatically going to assume they're going to exercise their options or find someone better. So it's just going to take more time to win someone over. Okay, now this is a pretty funny one, but you'll just simply be asked what your nationality is. So at the worst, you'll look uniquely weird or you'll look uniquely attractive. So simply your looks stand out more than average, so it instigates a comment of where you might be from or your heritage. This is actually something that I receive a lot. People usually assume I'm Italian, half Asian, Latino, things like that. But if you actually look in the bottom right corner, those are my DNA test results, and I am very white. So you can safely assume I don't season my food. And of course, you'll receive direct compliments about your looks. So of course, this is self-explanatory. You're good looking, and people want to tell you that. The classic saying, if you're a Chad, you won't have to guess. You'll just know. And whoa, big surprise, who would have guessed? Attraction for women skyrockets. So your Tinder matches will be tremendously boosted. You actually have the choice of what women you want instead of having to just choose what you can get. And if you're someone who's looksmaxxing currently and you're getting better looking, chances are girls who rejected you in the past will come flocking to your DMs. Another thing as well, exceptions will be made for Chad, but not for you. Rules will be broken for Chad, but not for you. Essentially what I'm trying to say is that if a woman's attraction to you is high enough, they will not put down little ground rules for you. You have high SMV and they know it. So yeah guys, that's going to conclude the video for today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment if you got some good information out of this, and leave some suggestions in the comment section below. Alright guys, mog your past self, and I'll see you in the next one.